So starting this video a little bit embarrassed because I'm actually doing this intro at the end of the video. I completely messed it up. I'm sure it's something to do with the heat outside making me forget, but an email come through. A lady, she's right up in Scotland, said, look, I've been recommended to contact you guys. The garage have diagnosed my van as needing this, and I want to know if you'll give me a better price than they're offering. So I agreed to buy the van. We'd done the deal, and I sent a chap called Jerry, who is actually, let's explain the story. Claire's sister lives in Scotland. She's married to a Scotsman called Willie. He owns Tartan Tyres in Glasgow, and I rang him up and said, I've got a van being dropped off to you, is that all right? He said yes. So sorry, can you get it picked up? So he got Jerry to go and get it. I'll put Jerry's link in the description if you've got any recovery work around Scotland. And he dropped it off to my brother-in-law's place, Tartan Tyres. Then I arranged for a courier to collect it from there the next day, and he's bringing it here. So welcome back to the channel and a new video. I hope all that made sense. So for those of you that watch the channel religiously would have previously heard me very recently mention that we had an upcoming vehicle that had an issue that I quite quickly found the answer to. So this is that particular van, and you can see odometer looks good, financial and legal clearly highlighted there in yellow, and then damaged looks good as well. So you're going to ask yourself, what did I do and how did I check this out? So the lady assured me that it no longer had finance and that she had cleared the finance. Now, being in the industry a long time, I know that sometimes it does take a while to update. But in the meantime, just so that you do know and you're not waiting around, on the car vertical check, you'll see I click straight on that there, and it says this vehicle may have financial restrictions. And then when you go down a little bit, it says there, operating lease, record found 12th 2021, United Kingdom. Now, if you click on more, it actually says there, operating lease, the document number, the term of the lease, the BMW Financial Services GB Limited, and then their contact number. So all I've done, they can't tell you a lot due to GDPR. That's obviously common sense now. But what they can tell you is, I always ask the same question. Here is the vehicle in question. Here is the reference number, so 3600796. Here's the reg. Do you still hold a financial interest in this vehicle, yes or no? And they are actually allowed to answer you yes or no, because they don't want you buying a vehicle that they hold a financial interest in and it's not going to be paid for. And quite quickly the chap come back and said, let me look into this, put me on hold for a brief moment and come back and said, I can confirm that we no longer hold a financial interest in that vehicle. It will take up to 90 days for this particular part to actually go from the check. It does take a little while for it to update across the checks, but as you can see, everything else on this check is all good, and I do hope that that little segment I just said there did help. We've only got 8 records in timeline, and that was the registration, an ownership change, it was on sale, it was on sale, it was on sale, another ownership change, and then an inspection. Apart from that, everything looks good. To benefit from a nice little discount off your must-do check, use the code up on screen now, and you can use that in any browser, or you can hit the link in the description where it will automatically apply your discount to do your check. I want to thank Car Vertical for the continued support on the channel. So this guy, I've never met him before and I've never used him before, and he's based in Manchester, I believe, but I've got a friend of mine to put on this Facebook recovery group, can anyone collect this car? And this guy instantly messaged back with his quote. We accepted it, he arranged to collect it that day, went and collected it, and of course delivered it back to me the very next morning. So having a bit of a chat with him, and he's a real nice guy, and he comes straight here with it. Just like that, here it is the next day. I mean, this driver must have drove right through the night, I suppose, to get it here, but I am going to put his link in the description down below. He just said he hasn't even got a backload to go back to Newcastle. That's where he's going back to. So he said, do I know any backloads? But he obviously does this all over the country. So great price as well. I'll put his link in the description down below. let's get it off and have a look at it. So I'll just keep on doing it to us. I'll keep getting offered them and we keep on buying them.
It's the name of the game, mate.
It is the name of the game.
Yeah.
I think in a minute, I've told you what's wrong with it. In a minute, we'll show that. But what a lovely, lovely little thing. It's not a TP, so it's not like a wheelchair access one. It's an actual proper 7-seater car.
Yes.
And it's registered as a car. Nice.
Yeah.
Rear door.
Little bus, isn't it?
Nice new petrol can, yeah. Or as you call it, a van with windows.
Definitely a van with windows, this one.
It's crazy. I can't go into the tip in my Berlingo, but you can in this.
Yeah, and you get more in this, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that folds up, doesn't it? Yeah, look at the size of that.
Yeah. Right.
It's good, isn't it?
All the way from Scotland.
Yes.
So
what an epic journey, this one.
It's the furthest we've ever bought a car away from, I think, definitely. But overall, very, very nice. And I feel really, really gutted for the lady that we bought it off, because she has just had this into the garage and spent £1,500 on it. I don't know if she got that refunded because it went back to the garage, but you can see there, she had a brand new turbo fitted. And I've actually spoke to a mate of mine that does these all the time, and he says it is so common for them to chuck the new turbo on, and then they ended up running up on their own oil. Do you want to fire this up for us, mate? So the lady said she's got it from the garage. Excuse the wind noise if there is a little bit of wind noise today. She's got it from the garage after it's been repaired. She's driven it for about 30 minutes. As Chris would say, there is a little man inside there with a
man in there with a little hammer.
With a little hammer. Do you want to get? I mean, it does sound like it's top end, but it's not going to be. It's going to be bottom end, isn't it? So you can hear it does not sound very happy at all, and that's going to be where it has run up on its own oil. 48,000 miles. So still a lovely thing, and even though this is badged up a Vauxhall Combo, I think we all know it is actually a Citroen Berlingo, Peugeot partner, PSA, whatever you want to call it, DV5 engine.
Yeah.
So it's the newer one, 16 valve, and we're going to pull it straight in the workshop and do a bit more investigation.
Yes, yes, I think so, mate. There's nothing more to say about it. Really,
not at all.
So, but whether. You never know, do you? Because you sometimes get conflicting. Garages are not always honest with what they do and what they find and tell people. But I just wonder whether the turbo went, and so the car, I mean, you'd have had a lot of smoke, but it would run the engine low on oil because it would have burnt the oil off, and that has done damage to the crank bearings.
Yeah.
And then it's gone in the garage, they put the new turbo on. You know, if the lady's saying it didn't make that noise, have they done a temporary repair? I don't know.
You just don't know, do you?
Pull it apart, we don't know what's happened, do we?
No.
But, yeah.
Right, we ain't got time for any waffle. Let's pull her in and pull it apart. No messing around, straight in the workshop, working like a team again, putting the legs underneath while Chris is getting it all lined up in the air we go, and we start removing stuff. Wheels off, wheel splashes out, so that we can expose all of the bolts holding the front bumper on. I actually undid 310mm there on that, and I didn't need to undo them all. I actually removed the bracket along with the front bumper, and I only needed to remove one of them. Now we're draining down some of the fluid, so the oil and then the water as well. Cracking straight on with it then. We literally pulled it in. I thought, oh, we're going to stop there, have a little bit of a chat, but Chris went straight into it, and it's established very, very early on it's been apart.
It has been apart, yes.
So loads of stuff was very, very easy to come undone, basically, and we are pretty much off with the front end. It's only because we just had to take a call. We had to stop. We're just about to remove the rad pack. Going to get that bit of airbox out of the way there, and I think that is going to show us a lot more. I think there's one or two fan wires maybe still connected. I think I've done Chris. One, haven't I? Yeah.
Just got this one here.
Yeah, got that one now. But yeah, because it's been apart before, of course, it's made life a little bit easier because everything's come apart very, very easily. And straight back onto it, Chris wants to get everything removed out the front. So the front bar there, and anything else that's going to be in the way of the engine coming out, we want to make as much room as we possibly can without creating extra work. So I'm getting underneath, disconnecting things in and out, putting things in the back of the van as well, folded all the seats down so that everything's right there when we do need it back, and both cracking on, me on the driver's side removing the wiring, Chris removing that engine mount that side, and a couple of pipes strapped to the chassis. That's it. Right, stop there. Come down a little, please. And a little bit more. That's it.
What, down a little bit?
Yeah, go on, mate. Can you come to you a little bit? That's it. Right.
Just looking at air con pipe there, Rob.
I'm just seeing, mate. There's nothing connected.
All right.
Yeah, I'll get you to come down a little bit, just because.
Air con pipe there, mate.
Uh-huh. Hold it there for a sec. And out you come. Stop, sorry. Yeah, go on, mate.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go, mate.
That's a lump of engine.
Put it straight on the floor, shall we?
Yeah.
Because we want to split that gearbox, don't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you want to pull that hose out of the way, mate?
Yeah, 100%.
I'll tell you what, before we do that, we do the bottom bell housing bolts before it's on the floor. Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know how many we've got in it, Theo.
There's 13, I can see one starter motor makes up part of the bell housing bolts
I've
on
got
this.
all 13s this side.
Yeah.
We'll whip them out, shall we?
Yeah, you've also got this drive shaft has to come out, doesn't it? So we're going to have to take all the gearbox oil out. Yeah, either that or you undo that bracket and take that off with the gearbox.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what way around would you like to do it?
Well, we probably want that bracket off because we want the sump off.
Yeah.
It looks like it's all a bit in the way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we take that, I suppose.
All right, mate. So now we're going to move on to all the bell housing bolts all the way around it that are actually holding the engine to the gearbox. So you can see that wiring harness, even though that's held there with that 13, once you remove that 13 and this harness comes off, there's another 13 behind it which is holding the gearbox to the engine itself. Chris is already cracking on there, and of course you can see the starter motor bolts actually go all the way through the start motor, through the block of the engine, and then into the gearbox. They're holding it, and then you've got your drive shaft there with your bolts, and of course some more bolts there bolting the bell housing of the gearbox to the engine block. So let's get all of those stripped off. So with the engine on the floor, we can continue on stripping it there. Well, Chris can. That's flywheel off, the new engine stand on there, get it mounted onto that engine stand, and then we can remove the engine crane out of the way and he can get right round it. There's a handle in the end there so we can turn the engine, rotate it upside down. You can see there in any position he wants. Naughty, putting that on there on your own. I know you've done it loads of times, but...
Yeah, it was pretty controlled with the engine lift, so got it on there. I had to remove a few more bits, Rob, just to allow it to rotate to that position. If we wanted it to rotate any more, there's a couple of more bits would need to come off, but I thought that's adequate for what we really want to do next, which is remove the sump and see what we got. But I stopped at that point, turned the time lapse off so you could and wait for you. So I've had a bit of a clear up, and yeah, ready to pop that off.
It looks like once you get that sump off, and that air compressor, that crank carrier looks quite easy to get out.
If we go that far, we don't know how far we're going yet.
No.
It's now a case of take that off and see what we got, isn't it? But Yeah, we're assuming there that probably there is, there's certainly
Little man in
bearing
there.
damage, but whether there's crank damage.
Little man in there with an hammer.
But
Chris.
he ain't made his way out like on the
Ranger
engine. So
I've
yeah,
got some deliveries coming
You
for the
have,
Fiat at
yes.
home. I'm going to whip home and grab them.
Okay.
And you're right here doing that. So straight away, sump off. And I'm not going to mention anything in here. I'm going to let Chris show it a little bit further on, but it doesn't look too clever. But you can see him rotating it there, having a little wiggle round, seeing which one is the issue or which ones are the issue, so that he can show you when he...
well, that was quite a messy job, but there we have the sump removed, and I've removed the timing belt cover and timed it up. It is pinned there on the crankshaft, on the camshaft pulley rather, and these, like a lot of modern engines, don't lock up at TDC, at top dead centre. They lock up with the pistons level effectively, so halfway up, halfway down in the bores. So there's no possibility, if you was working on this engine and you happen to take the belt off and then rotate the camshafts, the valves opening and shutting wouldn't come into contact with any piston that might be at top dead centre, because the pistons, as I say, are halfway. Anyway, waffling on like Rob here. That's that stripped. I have gone ahead and removed a bearing cap there that had a bit of play in it, and there lies our problem. Bearing cap looks okay, but the bearing shells are toast. And one of those, I think it's that one, I don't know how well that shows, the end is slightly splayed where that's hammered that slightly. So that's the cause of our knocking. Unfortunately, when I put my thumbnail there, I don't know if you can hear this, the crankshaft is quite scored. So that's either going to require a new crank or regrind, or depending on cost, it might be a replacement engine. But I am going to strip a bit more while I'm waiting for Rob, and then hopefully we can see a bit more.
So straight on now to removing all of the casings on the side, and then that the crank, there's like a cassette that the crank sits in between. It sits in the block, and then there's like a plate over the top there, and you can remove that and get the crank out, which is fantastic. You don't have to completely strip everything down and take the head off. So just getting that off, and we'll get that removed and have a look. That's the crankcase now removed. Let's pull out that crank. Out it comes. Well, Chris reckons he's cleaned up. It looks like there's a bomb gone off in here.
It's a bit of a mess, isn't it? But it's the nature of the
I haven't been here, mate, so I'm going to leave it to you.
Yeah, well, crank is now out, and you can see a little bit clearer what I was trying to show earlier on, where that is marked, that where the big ends have picked up slightly.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but it is what it is. So we've now got to decide what route we're going, haven't we?
Yes.
Regrind, oversize, which is a specialist thing. We'd have to send that to someone to do. Replacement engine, but that's, as I've mentioned earlier, is probably quite costly. So I don't know. It's over to you, really, isn't it?
You think you know the cause of that, though, don't you? That's worth mentioning, I think, Chris.
Well, look at the state of that oil pump, and look at the state of the oil. I doubt this has had an oil change in its life.
Really?
Do you? Look at it.
It don't look too clever, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, that's in fact, that's horrendous in there, isn't it?
The oil, I don't know where I've put it now. Oh, it's in there. The oil pickup is equally as gungy.
Yeah.
So I think if we do go the route of crank, we'll have definitely we'll be having a new oil pump and meticulously cleaning everything. But again, it's all down to cost, and you're going to have to.
I guess it's time to get on the phone and
yeah,
start doing some research.
I've cleaned those, just 2 of those up, just so we can show. You can see that started to wear there.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Right.
All right, mate.
Well, on that bombshell,
Yeah, that's as far as we can go.
that is as
today.
far as we can go. Unfortunately, that is going to be the end of today's video. It, of course, now comes down to me to get on that phone. Price up. Is it easier, cheaper to buy a second-hand engine, or is it cheaper and easier to go down the route of getting that reground? We know Phoenix will regrind that for us. Are the shells available, oversized? I'm sure they are. We need to find them. There's a lot to be getting on with in the background. Anyway, enough waffle. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy it, hit that thumbs up. We really do appreciate it. And of course, it shows your appreciation. If you want to follow Chris, it's a summer now at boot fairs.
Not many actually
no.
this year so far.
He's got a new chicken run round the back. He's going to be showing.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going on his Instagram at Salvage Rebuilds Chris. And of course you can follow us, offer us your vehicles at Salvage Rebuilds. And if you have got anything for sale, or if you know someone that's got something for sale, you can email us salesuk@gmail.com. Don't forget, like, subscribe and share, and we'll see you very, very soon in the next one.